Hey guys, Blackbard here, bringing you a lovely build that has quite a lot of adaptations, but I am looking forward to bring it to you. We got an elemental hit trapper with it just it works so well. Now this is a variation of a couple of builds that I've seen recently around elemental hit, mainly pushed by POEDAN and TheAmigoBoyz, so I do have to give them a lot of credit because there's a lot of the kind of little details that I didn't really realize that it kind of worked into this build and made work with the traps specifically. So definitely go check them out. I'll leave links to their stuff in the bottom, and let's get started. Now, we're going to start with the gear and then we'll get into the passive tree, but the gear is extremely similar to not the regular elemental hit. So if you already have an elemental hit scion, you can try this out just at the end of the league and goof around with it. It wouldn't cost you that much, and yeah, it'd be kind of fun to try out. Anyway, we're going to start off with the four stat items that are just there for life resists, life resists, life resists, life resists, and then throw traps, throw an additional trap. So there's nothing special to these. These are basically every trapper has these. Nothing special. Okay, Tinker Skin is the next thing here. It's really just there for survivability. You can do the build without it, although you're going to be a lot more squishy until you do get this. Doesn't have to be 6-linked. I mean, you can to get a little bit more damage, but I'm doing T13, 14, 15, no problem with just 4-link, so, or 5-link technically. So it's definitely enough damage. The other kind of really cheap item is going to be your pyre. This is a 2C item. This converts cold to fire, and that's really the important part, along with a little bit of the burning damage and some resistances. The also ignited enemies are destroyed on kill, makes for a lot of blood on the screen, which is terrific. Call of Brotherhood, in Flashback it was only like 20C, but I know in Incursion it's somewhere around 45C. This is really just to convert more damage to something that's already been converted to fire, so lightning to cold in this case, and then more resistances. It also increases the damage, but doesn't really matter. Chin Soul, we are going to use this exclusively as opposed to switching between a +3 and then the Chin Soul, and that's because the 100% more damage with the arrows at close range applies to traps where they land. So you throw traps on somebody, they get the 100% increased damage, and it's terrific. It's better than a +3 bow. This here is literally, I got it just for the pierce, and then wed is good, and it filled in some of my resistances as well as some life. Nothing really special on here. Rigwalds would obviously be the best. Drill neck is okay, although I chose this over it because of the wed. The wed is definitely really good damage. Sockets here, we got just 4-link here, and we have this right now for me is combination of both the single target and multi group. So your normal shot is going to be elemental hit, cluster traps, greater multiple projectiles, and then trap and mine. And if you have 6-link, and mind you these have trap built in, and then a 6-link would be combustion or wed, depending on which one you like the best. I think they're both relatively equal. I've swapped them out on the path of building, and they're about the same. So it's really choice, whichever one you want. For normal stuff, because I have 4 greens here, I actually swap over charge traps for single target, and that really helps my damage by getting rid of GMP. You can see here, just, yeah, it increases quite a lot. Anyway, the other portion here is going to be a cast on damage taken, in increased duration, immortal call, and then blood rage. And the reason why we have to do that cast on damage taken is because we actually don't get the bonus of it restarting its duration whenever we kill something. So we actually have to basically either manually do it, which is extremely obnoxious, or just stick it in there. which we have an extra socket for anyway. Here I have a cast and damage taken ice golem. You can use any golem you want. I use this for the accuracy. It puts me very much closer to cap. I'm sitting right around 90. Well, I guess it's not really that close to cap, but about around 90%, although I'm playing around with the damage as far as whether or not to use Resolute Technique, seeing if that works out a little bit better, but I haven't really had any issues yet. Although Delve, I think, is really where you're going to start to notice these differences, so we'll see then. In here, I just have Portal, and then I have a self-cast Blood Rage, so I can pop it at the beginning and then move into the rest of the stuff, and we'll get into why that's important a little bit later. And then I have Faster Text Blink Arrow just for mobility, and then I have Bear Trap and Increased Duration. These two are nothing. So you have a lot of sockets empty. I mean, I don't even have a 6 socket here or a 6 socket here, and plenty of sockets for everything I need. So you can put whatever you want in there. Pretty easy on the gear. The stuff here, the passive tree, the Ascendancies, we're going to go through and get Saboteur because of the life regen, the penetration. Don't really care what the area of effect. It doesn't really affect our stuff, but also the chance on blind on hit is terrific. Another survivability thing. And then we actually want to start up here, which is, yeah. You can use quite a lot of different Ascendancies. Elementalist comes to mind. Not Hierophant. Inquisitor comes to mind as well. But I chose Juggernaut because of the accuracy. The fact that you do not get shield, basically slowed, and you don't get stunned, which you get stunned a lot, as especially in incursions. Those little shooty things, that the little chaos spitters, they freaking wreck you because they stun you. So if you have this, you don't get stunned. You can move around more freely. You're a lot more survivable. Plus, you get endurance charges for free, and then you get a little extra damage from the endurance charges, which is always terrific. For the most part, this is a normal trap setup here all the way down to here. Although, since we're using bow skills, I put this down here just for group clear. It just makes having 3 pierce, it just makes your life so much easier. You hit almost the entire screen all the time. And then we have acrobatics and phase acrobatics just for survivability. Pretty soon I'm going to pick up this frenzy charge, because this frenzy charge just has increased duration, which I don't really care about. This gets you more evasion, which is pretty cool. And then another trap wheel, life wheel, crit and damage wheel, although I might switch that over to this side. Life, point blank, same concept as Shin Soul. Your projectiles start where your traps explode, so when you're throwing these directly on something, you gain another 50% more. So you gain 150% more damage on top of whatever this tooltip is. Life, and you need this gem socket. Fire damage and damage penetration, terrific here. Life again, and a shitload of life. We're talking 35% life here. As well as blood magic, so this gets rid of your mana and makes it to where you can cast, you're basically just throwing traps like a madman. Because all of your traps trigger on their own, they do not get set off by other things. This recovers a ton of life and energy shield for you, so you really have no problems with throwing a ton of traps. Plus you have your regen, which is crazy amount of regen. You're talking somewhere around 24-25% life regen while you're throwing traps and stuff, which is just inherent. You don't have to really hit anything. It's pretty nutty. That being said, you also take advantage of this Pantheon, and every time you get hit and your Immortal Call goes off, you actually stop your Blood Rage tick, and it procs this 50% increased recovery rate, which just makes it shoot through the roof. It goes insane. So you wind up recovering like 40% a second or something retarded. It is ridiculous how much health you regen when you're doing stuff like that. On top of the fact that your Tinkerskin is actually giving you heals every time they go off. So, and because they're not chain going off, they're not chain exploding, they're actually being set off, you get that heal every time. And it's the equivalent. You can see here, 100 health per trap. And then 50 ES. So you're getting a 750 heal every time your traps go off. And then you're getting your passive life regen, which is somewhere around 25% per second. I mean, you see how this gets very survivable very quickly. And then in combination with your endurance charges and all that, it's pretty terrific. Now, we go down here to fill in some more resistances, gain some more, in my case, life regen per second and life. The other stats don't really matter. And then over here, we actually use Might of the Meek, excuse me, for just increasing these values quite a lot. And you can see 7% versus 5%. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an extra 10% right there. And then another flat life there. Pretty good amount of resistance is increased. If you put it here, you actually lose this node, and you don't want to do that. You can do both, but I don't think the benefit actually outweighs what you're losing. Excuse me. So, it's pretty much the passive tree. I'm going to load this up, as well as a couple of variations that include why the build prior to getting Zoph's Blood, because I know that's pretty expensive, and that involves coming all the way up here. So you actually spec out of a lot of this, and you have to actually come up this way and get this. So this is hugely important. It's got fire resist. It's got freaking penetration. It's got ash. It's got avatar fire. This is like the corner piece. If you can get this first, as well as these, it's just every elemental hit build needs this. Anyway, the other two things that you need is you need combat focus with the one where you don't choose lightning, as well as not choosing cold. And this was a little confusing to me the first time with, you can see with total 40 total strength and intelligence and radius. Doesn't mean that it needs to be selected, but it just needs to be either a combination of both. It just needs to add up to 40. So it's really not that difficult to get, and it does not have to be both. So like this dex and strength really doesn't have to be here. It could probably be here, if I'm not mistaken. If there's a node over here that gives dex, no, it couldn't be that one. But this one for sure, it could be this one pretty easily. It just has to be one or the other. You can see down here I actually got them both, but it's not helpful either way. So that is the skill tree. If you're going to go in as a saboteur as opposed to a scion, you really need to not take the one that triggers all of the traps. Otherwise it completely screws over this build. And the reason why that is because if they get set off all on their own, one, Tinkerskin will only heal you for the first one that gets set off, and two, they won't target what shot at them because they were targeted by other traps, so they'll just shoot off in every direction. Whereas if you set this up to where your scion, these all trigger individually. So if something runs in here, you have to be a little bit more mindful of where you're throwing your traps and actually get them to walk over your traps. Because of all these nodes here, you can see we got a lot of increased trigger area of effect, which is actually pretty good for this because you do need that trigger area of effect. You can see it's on a lot of these, and that's why we took them and went out of the way to go and get them. That is pretty much it. Let me show you a little bit of gameplay here so we can actually kill some stuff. You can see I turn on Blood Rage right off the bat so that I gain access to Blood Rage. And then if any of these guys hit me, you can see my health regen is just silly. And I can sit here, and if you look at my energy shield, it's actually popping up all the time, which is hilarious. Why not? Let's pick up another Rain of Chaos there. So we can just sit here, we can walk around, and you see I actually have to aim my traps. I can't just throw them wherever and hope that one of them goes off and sets them all off. I actually have to be pretty smart about where to send these things. But you can see this just absolutely rips up stuff. and this is a T12. It's not a 15 or anything, but I would like to get a 6 link before I start doing the 15s pretty consistently. It's just not lucky for me yet. I've put about 5 or 6x into trying to get one damn item to go, and it's just not doing it. So that is pretty much the build. But as you can see, pretty easy. Easy, but you know what I mean. Good build. Now, if you wind up hating the traps, you can always respec and then just change this out for combs, and then get rid of these, and boom, you have a regular elemental hit build, and then just swap out your bow for something like a Thunderstrike or whatever the name of that thing is. It converts all your damage to lightning, or increases your attack speed by a ton, and then increases your lightning damage. It's pretty good. As well, the only other sub-in piece that I'm actually looking for is a 4x item that is Frost. Damn it, I have it loaded up here. Frost Furno, and that is terrific for a single target setup. So you can put that here, and then add a couple of links here, and it's a ton of damage. It's really good. I'm looking to get my hands on one of those, and we should pretty much be done with this build. I'm really looking forward to Delve, so I will be streaming that, as well as Wolchin's coming up here soon, and so in the end of September, right after I get back from vacation. So yay! I've got some shooter games coming out here soon, so I'll start uploading some stuff, and hopefully my son goes back to school in a week, so I'll start putting up a little bit more content here. Sorry about that little drought we've dealt with here. I know that's just an excuse, so I'm gonna keep away from the excuses and just get you some content. All right, drop by to Twitch. I'm there every weeknight, so Sunday to Thursday from 9 to midnight at least, unless I'm on call, and I get called out in between. But check me out, man. Come by, say hi, chat, ask me questions. If you have improvements for this build, let me know. I will gladly listen. I'm not afraid to respec and regret the hell out of this character and fix stuff. So just let me know. Have a wonderful evening. You guys have a good one. Bye.